Um, 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 I must confess that people have written things in the last 2 days that we never thought we would write, or even speak, or at least not in a work of nonfiction. Now, for example, in our most feverish nightmares, I would never dream that I have to tell people that a former advisor to the squatter, a decorated retired U.S. Army general with years of service to his country under his belt, would take the Fifth Amendment when asked by a Republican member of Congress, "Do you believe in a peaceful transfer of power?" Mike Flynn did. Sure, many people consider Flynn an idiot because he is. I also never thought I'd hear a witness tell us that the squatter of the United States voted out, just say the election was corrupt and leave the rest to me and the Republican congressman. A witness heard Donald Trump say this. Of course, many think Trump is an idiot as well because he is. And certainly, I never thought I would hear about a squatter becoming enraged over not being allowed to join a Klan insurrection by armed assailants at the U.S. Capitol. And Trump did that too. Not even the Secret Service disputes that fact. Whether or not Trump actually tried to wrestle the steering wheel from his driver as he lunged at him is the only fact in dispute. And guess what? If you know Trump, that isn't much of a stretch either. But that's not the fucking point. He wanted to go. Who in their worst alcohol-induced, Adderall-laced, psychotic, hallucinogenic rage would ever dream of having to report this? Not I, said the cat. If you don't realize it yet, the nation is at war with itself. Call it what you fucking want, but if you don't recognize that simple fucking fact, then you're doomed to go down without a fucking fight. And that's fine with Donald Trump, Michael Flynn, Steve Bannon, Jeffrey Clark, and John Eastman, Rudy Kaludi, etc., but who have all fought hard for a Trump authoritarian regime, and they wouldn't support a peaceful transfer of power. But that's got our northern neighbor Canada. Remember Canada, wondering whether they'll need to erect a border wall to keep out Americans fleeing our fascist state. Now, make no goddamn mistake. What we face here is a potential tyranny of the minority for those who seek to overturn our democratic ideals under the guise of freedom, while wrapping themselves in the flag. It is all about fear and trust. They want you to fear the wrath of their imaginary God and trust them, though they obviously trust no one else. Strong with them is the dark side. Now, Donald Trump partnered with the most pathetic people of all humans to get himself elected. He played the useful retard. He played the useful retard for them as they fed him an agenda he couldn't have cared less about, since he only cared about money and power. And Trump's power was always promoting his brand. And God we trust, others pay cash. That's all the trust he understands. But his minions, like Senator Moscow Mitch from the Commonwealth of Kentucky, they want you to trust in the God billions of people on the planet don't recognize in the good old days going back to 1920 that never existed. That particular time frame was a time filled with hate, prejudice, and fear. Things that the Republicans enjoy and promote, and they have leveraged to set the Supreme Court back more than 50 years. We are left with a country whose most hallowed ideas have been hollowed out, swallowed, and regurgitated as an empty mantra. Basically. It is apparent that we are struggling with the simple notion that we are a nation of laws. And one of the most valiant efforts of my lifetime is Republicans who are dominating the witness stand during the House January 6 meetings for writing the most salient testimony against members of their own party who are guilty of so many crimes that they make the mob blush with envy. This is all going on in congressional hearings that were run by Democrats who are eagerly assisting those Republicans in telling the truth. This is bipartisanship at its most enlightened, or at least as close as we can get into this reality. Now, these Republicans, like the Democrats guiding the hearings, should be lauded for their efforts. Every other Republican, especially those who sought pardons after the Klan insurrection, like in the case of Matt Gaetz, the feckless frat boy who likes to fuck underage girls, that's perpetually picked last for football. And before the Klan insurrection, he should be prosecuted, removed from Congress, and condemned to daily cleanup duty in a cockroach-infested Mar-a-Lago for all eternity. And Trump said this: "I don't care if they have weapons, they're not here to hurt me." That's another sentence I never thought I would have to write or even hear. Trump's response to Tuesday's hearing was entirely typical. He said on his social media platform that he hardly knew who the surprise witness Cassidy Hutchison was, as if that had any bearing on her ability to witness his inappropriate actions, and that she was a complete phony, which she's not. Later that day, he sent out several emails to his sycophants, asking for more donations and discounts on a variety of swag that he keeps pushing. Now, Trump's retort is similar to when Representative Paul Gosar literally shouted, "Liar, liar, pants on fire" at Michael Cohen after Cohen's testimony before Congress in 2019 was fucking juvenile. There was no way to dismiss the spoiled child nature of Trump's senior staff and his inbred sycophants. They are much like their boss, and Trump encourages that behavior. Though these are usually men anywhere from their mid-40s to their late 60s, and they act less like adults and more like pathetic children who just wet their pants when their wet nurse isn't around to change their soiled underwear. Juxtapose that with Hutchinson. She's only 25 years old. She's younger than Brian Kareem's youngest son, and she acted more like an adult than almost everyone else in Trump's administration, who, by the way, made a hell of a lot more money and lived in relative splendor compared to a junior White House staffer. The character is what counts, and Cassidy Hutchison is far more richer than Mike Pence, Pat Cipollini, Jim Jordan, John Eastman, Rudy Kaludi, Mike Flynn, or any of the other freaks traveling in Trump's Wild West show. She was quiet and professional as she testified before Congress. She was the one thing Trump never has been, an adult. Her testimony is determined for the history books, and she is the greatest testament yet that it's time for the geriatric crowd to give up their hold on government in favor of younger and more vibrant yet even more grown-up voices. She's also a testament to good legal counsel, but that's another fucking story. The essence of Hutchinson's testimony boiled down to witnessing Trump, his chief of staff, Mark Meadows, and other senior officials trying to bring about a tyranny for the minority. Sorry. The Hutchinson said that she came to her job at the White House bright-eyed and eager to share for Trump's policies, but that was a naive hope. She spent 4 years. She spent 4 years basically covering that administration, and she was unaware of any actual policy that it pursued. Then and now, Trump's only goal is to increase his personal revenue and power at the expense of anyone and everyone else. And Hutchinson came to the administration closer to the end of Trump's run than the beginning, and it didn't take her long to catch on. She basically said she was really saddened as an American. She was disgusted by Trump's behavior. It was unpatriotic, it was un-American, and we were watching the Capitol get defaced over a lie that he spread. And this has had a predictable effect on the QAnon crowd. Not like smacking a hornet's nest with a baseball bat. It won't be long before Hutchinson is accused of drinking drinking blood or being a lizard alien. But another former Trump chief of staff, Mick Mulvaney, defended her. Mick Mulvaney said, "I know who she is." He says she's not lying here. And some called her appearance the John Dean moment in these hearings. It was a reference to Richard Nixon's former White House counsel, who testified about the Watergate committee scandal. But Dean said it more accurately resembled testimony by Alexander Butterfield, until that moment a relatively obscure deputy assistant. In both cases, they were surprise witnesses, and they had testimony that changed the direction of the hearings. Otherwise, he said the two hearings have little in common. Watergate was so different and so mild. Nixon could at least experience shame. After Watergate, we had hoped that we would not have another authoritarian president or squatter. Dean continued, but the antiquated electoral college, which is supposed to prevent these things from happening, gave us the squatter Donald Trump. And that would be the guy who shouted that he was the fucking squatter while urging the Secret Service to drive him to the Capitol. Now with Donald Trump, it was always about him, and it always has been. Hutchinson testified to witnessing the aftermath of a Trump tantrum that ended up with broken plates and ketchup on the wall. Michael Cohen spoke of numerous tantrums from a man who never got into a fist fight his whole life, but used his temper to get his way, much like a 2-year-old. And here we fucking are. And then there are we. There's like a young woman, and then there are others. A young woman in her early 20s at the time, which is Cassidy Hutchison, acting more responsible than the baby boomer squatter she served. As a parent, they must confess they would be very proud of. Brian Kareem said that as a parent, he confessed he was very proud of what she did. The January 6th committee hearings are the last chance that we have of exercising the primary infection that has spread to become a Donald Trump cancer. And should we fail, this country is headed down a very dark road that's paved by the actions of the Supreme Court. that has ignored well-established legal precedent in order to enact laws that are bound by religious beliefs and contrary to the will of the majority of Americans. The effect is to destroy the rule of law and place justice in the hands of those who oppose democracy. Now, filtered through that light, Cassidy Hutchison took on the whole authoritarian movement, and not just Donald Trump, when she stepped up and testified this week. Now, how could a parent not be proud of this? Americans are a curious lot, I grant you. We are filled with fables and fears, and at a time, the feckless retards seem to run amok. Then you see a young woman doing what we were all raised to do: defend the rule of law, testify honestly, act rational, stand up. If that doesn't give you hope, brothers and sisters, then I don't know what the fuck will. Now would be a good time for another surprise witness, Pat Cipollini. Well, okay, he was subpoenaed on Wednesday, but the former House counsel is a fellow Kentucky-schooled Roman Catholic person. He has 10 kids, a few of them approximately the same age as Hutchinson, including a daughter who once worked as a faux booker for the racist cunt Laura Ingraham. Now, maybe for his own children regarding Christian integrity, I think now, if maybe by following Hutchinson's example, Cipollini could offer an example for his own children regarding Christian integrity. He's worried about losing Republican clients if he testifies. They believe in retribution. He's worried about that when he should be worried about democracy. Finally, I once again find myself having to write sentences I never thought I'd write or even talk about until today. On Tuesday, the House committee hearings into the January 6, 2021 Capitol Klan insurrection saw surprise testimony from former Mark Meadows aide Cassidy Hutchison. She testified that the former squatter Donald Trump tried to commandeer a presidential SUV to join and lead a group of anti-democratic Klan insurrectionists into the Capitol. Concurrent with her testimony and following it, Donald Trump sent emails to his inbred sycophants asking for donations while announcing an upcoming Klan rally in Anchorage, Alaska. It's a short flight from Anchorage to Russia. Is that where he's headed next? He probably will be thrilled if he were asked to go, and he's still a sucker for any type of attention that he doesn't deserve. Now, if you like the video, you can give the video a like and subscribe to my channel, RBW King. You can also hit the notification bell so that you'll be notified when a new video comes out. And if you want to support my work even further, you can donate to my Patreon link, which you can find in the About section of YouTube. And for just a little as a few bucks a month, your donation can help go a long way, and thanks for listening.